170 million women navigate their reproductive years carrying the exact same diagnosis. But for decades, the name on their medical files has been biologically wrong. The term Polycystic Ovary Syndrome implies the presence of pathological, dangerous ovarian cysts. In reality, what doctors see on an ultrasound are simply arrested follicles, eggs that began to develop but never fully matured. This misnomer creates serious friction in the clinic. Framing this exclusively as an ovarian disorder masks the broader symptoms, delaying diagnosis for up to 70. The mandate was clear: establish a scientifically accurate name to officially replace PCOS. The scale of this intervention was massive. It captured responses from over 14,000 patients and nearly 4,000 health professionals, drawing from every world region. Backed by funding from the Australian National Health and Medical Research Council, the authors built the study on strict transparency, making all conflict of interest declarations from leading experts and patient advocacy organizations entirely public. When a disease affects 1 in 8 women on the planet, you cannot simply suggest a medical update. Executing a rebrand on this scale demands a highly coordinated, globally backed mandate. The researchers didn't pick the new name behind closed doors. They used a multi-step Delphi consensus process, issuing iterative global surveys and hosting serial nominal group workshops to systematically test options against the lived experience of patients. Terms had to clear specific hurdles: scientific accuracy, clear communication, and avoiding stigma. Experts and patients prioritized these principles. Total reinvention was ruled out. Generic names were rejected, and the PCOS acronym lost to an 82% mandate for a precise, symptom-based name. The winning terminology had to thread the needle. It needed to map the exact biology of the condition while remaining culturally acceptable across international borders. After months of rigorous testing, one name cleared the gauntlet. The condition formerly known as PCOS is now Polyendocrine Metabolic Ovarian Syndrome, or PMOS. Let's break this down. Polyendocrine addresses the root. Instead of an isolated ovarian defect, the disease originates with central neuroendocrine abnormalities, triggering cascading hormonal imbalances, driving up insulin and causing androgen excess. Next is metabolic. 85% of affected individuals experience insulin resistance. This drives severe complications, significantly increasing risk profiles for type 2 diabetes, steatotic liver disease, and cardiovascular disease. Finally, ovarian. Ovulatory dysfunction and infertility are downstream effects. The ovaries are recipients of this broader endocrine and metabolic chain reaction. PMOS captures the entire multi-system architecture of the disorder. By discarding the narrow gynecological label, the diagnosis finally matches the biology. For the 170 million people living with this condition, the underlying diagnosis hasn't vanished. What shifts is the baseline standard for how that condition is treated. Healthcare can no longer stop at the gynecologist's door. The medical mandate now requires physicians to actively manage the cardiometabolic risks, dermatological symptoms like acne and alopecia, and the severe psychological impacts of the disease. Retiring a misleading acronym arms patients with the exact vocabulary they need. When the name explicitly states polyendocrine and metabolic, individuals can demand holistic, multidisciplinary healthcare without having to convince their doctor that the symptoms are connected. Fragmented care thrives on vague terminology. An accurate medical vocabulary forces the healthcare system to treat the entire patient. A new name does not rewrite the genetic origins of the disease, and it does not offer an immediate cure. To execute this shift practically, the researchers mapped out a 3-year managed transition phase to update global health systems, fully integrating PMOS into the next update of the international guidelines, already used in 195 countries. The obsolete PCOS label will likely linger on clinic brochures and online forums for a few more years, while major bodies like the World Health Organization formally update their diagnostic classification codes. But academically and medically, Polycystic Ovary Syndrome is now a dead term. It has been entirely replaced by Polyendocrine Metabolic Ovarian Syndrome. How we name a disease dictates how we treat it. By systematically removing a biological misnomer, this international consensus has finally aligned medical policy with biological truth.